What if the very fruit you're eating to feel younger is the reason you've stopped feeling like a man? It's a quiet betrayal, one that begins with good intentions. A handful of grapes here, a bowl of fruit salad there, maybe even a healthy smoothie in the morning. And yet, for millions of men over 60, the same fruits we were told to embrace decades ago may now be draining our energy, throwing our hormones out of balance, and slowly eroding our most essential masculine functions: testosterone, circulation, and drive. This video isn't about fear. It's about clarity. Because for men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, regaining control over your vitality is still possible, but only if you know what's sabotaging it. You don't need another supplement. You need a reset, a rethink of what's fueling your system. Today we're going to unpack 4 fruits that seem innocent, even healthy, but are quietly working against your strength, stamina, and intimacy. And more importantly, we'll reveal 4 fruits that can do the opposite: rebuild your circulation, support testosterone, and revive your energy in ways most men haven't felt since their 40s. This isn't about dieting, it's about strategy. I've seen men lose their spark and then get it back with something as simple as swapping what's in their breakfast bowl. If you've felt off lately, low energy, fading desire, softer mornings, or brain fog that makes you feel like a passenger in your own body, it's not in your head. It might be on your plate. So let's start with the fruit that's been sitting quietly in your kitchen for years, hiding behind a mask of healthiness. Grapes. Yes, grapes, the same ones marketed as heart-healthy, snackable, and antioxidant-rich. But here's the twist no one's talking about. Most conventional grapes are loaded with pesticide residues, many of which mimic estrogen in the male body. These compounds, known as xenoestrogens, don't just interfere with testosterone, they compete with it. Imagine your masculinity being slowly diluted by something you thought was doing you good. The result? Increased belly fat, lower libido, and a weakened ability to sustain strong erections. And if that sounds like an exaggeration, consider this. The endocrine-disrupting chemicals found on non-organic grapes have been linked to decreased sperm quality, hormone imbalances, and circulatory dysfunction, all major issues for men over 60. It's not that grapes are evil. It's that your body, in this stage of life, can't afford unnecessary hormonal confusion. I've worked with dozens of men who ate grapes daily, often thinking they were choosing the healthy path. Take Alan, for example. A 67-year-old retired engineer, sharp mind, disciplined lifestyle. But his mornings were getting slower, and his confidence in the bedroom had quietly eroded. He was eating 2 big handfuls of grapes a day, convinced it helped his blood pressure. But they weren't organic, and they were doing more harm than good. We swapped them out for berries with a lower estrogenic load and watched his energy return in less than a month. Not just the physical kind, but the kind that brings back eye contact, the kind that powers decision-making, the kind that puts you back in charge of your life. And here's something even worse than grapes: grape juice. It's a double assault: concentrated sugar combined with concentrated pesticide residue. A metabolic bomb waiting to go off in your bloodstream. The insulin spike alone is enough to tank testosterone and inflame your arteries. So if grapes are still a staple in your routine, ask yourself this: are they helping you feel like your strongest self? Or are they masking weakness with sweetness? For most men over 60, especially those not eating organic, the answer leans painfully toward the latter. But grapes aren't the only silent threat. In the next part, we'll uncover a so-called convenience food that's marketed to seniors as a smart choice: But in reality, it's slowly killing your blood flow and draining your masculine edge from the inside out. And chances are, it's sitting in your fridge right now. If grapes are the quiet saboteur, then canned fruit cocktails are the smiling assassin offering sweetness and softness, spooned up beside your morning meds or tucked into your lunch tray like a gentle gesture of care. But let me say this as clearly as possible, for men over 60, those colorful fruit cups are not harmless. They are a sugar-soaked Trojan horse, weaponized against your blood vessels, your testosterone, and your manhood. You see, aging is a process of narrowing margins. Your body no longer compensates the way it once did. What you could get away with in your 40s now leaves marks in your 60s, and the daily spike of high fructose corn syrup that comes with those fruit cocktails, it's a metabolic wrecking ball to your vascular health and hormonal balance. The problem isn't just the fruit, it's the syrup. That sticky, light liquid surrounding your soft peaches and pears, it's not juice, it's chemistry. High fructose corn syrup and concentrated fruit sugars flood your bloodstream the moment they hit your tongue, especially dangerous on an empty stomach. What happens next? Your insulin surges to mop up the sugar, your nitric oxide plummets, and inflammation tears at the linings of your smallest vessels, especially in places where blood flow matters most. Yes, I mean there. This isn't theory. It's physiology. I had a patient, Raymond, age 72, retired firefighter, strong as a rock in his prime. But lately, he said, he felt like a watered-down version of himself. No energy, no focus, and his intimate life? Gone like smoke, he told me. When I looked at his food log, I saw a canned fruit cocktail every morning with breakfast. He thought he was being good. Fiber, fruit, easy to chew. But he was flooding his system with fast sugar and preservatives that were unraveling his progress every single day. We cut it out, replaced it with real fruit, lower sugar options, and whole foods with actual fiber. 3 weeks later, he was waking up with purpose again. His wife told me he'd started wearing cologne again. That's how deep these changes go. Because intimacy doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts in the bloodstream. Still, some will say, but I buy the light syrup version, no sugar added. Let me tell you, those are marketing lies dressed up as health claims. That fruit has been sitting in metal cans for months, maybe years. Stripped of fiber, chemically preserved, bleached for color. It's not food. It's decoration soaked in damage. And here's the thing. When you're over 60, everything you eat becomes a message to your hormones. So what message do you want to send? One that says, here's a spike of estrogen in blood sugar, good luck? Or one that whispers, I still value strength, clarity, connection. Because canned fruit cocktails may look like sweetness, but their legacy is bitter fatigue, fog, and failure to function when it matters. The fix isn't complicated. Replace that cup with a bowl of blueberries, or a sliced kiwi, or a few fresh strawberries. We'll get to those soon. But for now, understand this. Eating canned fruit might feel like a treat, but for men past 60, it's a transaction. And you pay with testosterone, nitric oxide, and resilience. It's a price too many pay without realizing it. And it's time to flip the script. In the next part, we tackle one of the most loved, most promoted, and most misunderstood fruits in modern culture. It's in every smoothie, lunchbox, and breakfast buffet. It's also lulling men into a hormonal slowdown, and it might be the reason you feel flat, foggy, or strangely disconnected. Stay with me. Bananas, soft, portable, potassium-rich, and praised in every diet guide since the 80s. You've likely eaten hundreds in your lifetime. They're the quintessential healthy snack, especially for men trying to avoid processed junk. But for men over 60, especially those dealing with low energy, creeping weight gain, or declining performance, bananas may not be the blessing they appear to be. In fact, they could be part of the reason your mornings feel sluggish, your thoughts feel foggy, and your spark has dimmed in ways you can't quite explain. The issue with bananas isn't that they're evil. It's that they're chemically mismatched for the hormonal reality of the aging male body. Let's break it down. First, the sugar. While bananas aren't candy, the average ripe banana contains over 14 grams of fast-acting sugar. And here's the problem. As you age, your insulin sensitivity decreases. That means your body becomes less efficient at handling spikes in sugar. Every time you eat that banana, especially in the morning or alone, your blood sugar surges. Insulin follows, and testosterone takes a quiet dip. Why? Because insulin and testosterone are biochemical rivals. The more often your body has to crank up insulin to manage sugar, the less attention it gives to testosterone production. And that's not the end of it. Bananas also influence serotonin levels. They're high in tryptophan, a precursor to serotonin, the calming neurotransmitter. Sounds good, right? But in the aging male brain, elevated serotonin at the wrong time can mean flat emotions, decreased drive, and that quiet, unexplainable numbness that creeps into your relationships. I call it emotional fog, and for many men, bananas are part of the fog machine. There's also the psychological factor. Bananas feel like a safe, responsible choice. You grab one on the go, you don't have to think. But what if that easy choice is keeping you from waking up sharper? From responding with energy to your partner's touch? From feeling like you again? I had a patient, Michael, 70 years old. Still working part-time as a contractor, still lifting light weights, still caring deeply about his marriage. But something was off. He called it a flat tire feeling. His mood wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. His libido wasn't gone, just quiet. He was eating 2 bananas a day, one at breakfast, one as a midday snack. We swapped them out. In the morning, he went for Greek yogurt with walnuts and blueberries. In the afternoon, half a kiwi and a boiled egg. Within 3 weeks, he said the fog had started to lift. I didn't realize how dulled down I'd gotten, he told me. Like I was watching my life with sunglasses on. Now it feels brighter. That's the shift we're aiming for, not magic, just chemistry done right. It's not that you have to fear every banana. But if you're over 60 and dealing with low motivation, emotional flatness, or intimacy struggles, it's worth experimenting. Remove bananas for 30 days. Track your energy, your focus, your desire. You might just realize that sweetness isn't always so sweet. And if you're still snacking on dried fruits thinking they're better than candy, stay tuned. Because in the next part, we'll uncover the hidden sugar bombs disguised as health foods and how they're slowly depleting your testosterone, disrupting your sleep, and sabotaging your recovery when you need it most. If bananas are the soft whisper of imbalance, then dried fruits are the sweet, chewy, concentrated, and falsely comforting. They're often tossed into trail mix, popped into your mouth before bed, or praised as a better alternative to candy. But for men over 60 trying to protect their testosterone, blood flow, and energy, dried fruits, especially raisins and dates, may be quietly undoing your progress. Let's talk about why. Dried fruit is fruit, yes, but it's fruit that's been stripped, shriveled, and supersaturated. Imagine taking a whole bunch of grapes and reducing them to a tiny handful of raisins. You lose water, fiber, and volume, but the sugar remains, and it concentrates. 1 cup of raisins contains more sugar than a can of cola. Think about that. And unlike a fresh piece of fruit, dried fruit lacks the water content and full fiber matrix that slows absorption. That means it hits your bloodstream hard and fast. You spike insulin, disrupt blood sugar balance, and trigger a hormonal cascade that ends in lowered testosterone and impaired sleep. Here's something most men don't realize. Your testosterone production isn't just about what you eat. It's also about how well you sleep and how stable your hormones remain overnight. I've had patients who thought a handful of dates before bed was a smart move. It's natural, they'd say. Better than ice cream. But they didn't know those dates were keeping their blood sugar elevated through the night, blocking growth hormone release and preventing testosterone from recovering during their most crucial regeneration window, deep sleep. I worked with one man, Victor, 68, a retired high school principal. Sharp dresser, articulate, but recently felt disconnected from his body. Said he hadn't woken up with a firm erection in months. When we reviewed his habits, guess what stood out? Every night, just before bed, he'd pop 5 or 6 dates, treating them like a guilt-free dessert. We cut them out, rebalanced his snacks to protein and a bit of healthy fat like pumpkin seeds or almond butter. Within 2 weeks, he was waking up firmer, clearer, more alive. It wasn't magic. It was biology, realigned. And if the sugar load weren't enough, most commercial dried fruits come with additives that create further damage. Sulfites for color preservation. Vegetable oil coatings to prevent clumping. These additives might seem minor, but they interfere with key nutrient absorption, especially zinc. And zinc is critical for men. It's the mineral behind testosterone production, sperm quality, and erection strength. Strip it away, and you slowly peel back the layers of your masculinity. There's something almost cruel about dried fruit. They appear so harmless, so nostalgic, so nourishing. But for a man over 60, especially one fighting for vitality, they're more of a setback than a snack. Now you might be thinking, if I can't eat grapes, fruit cups, bananas, or dried fruits, what's left? Here's the good news: a lot. In fact, some of the most potent, healing, testosterone-boosting, circulation-reviving fruits are the ones most men overlook. In the next part, we'll begin flipping the script, not just avoiding what hurts, but embracing what heals. We start with a fruit that has been revered for centuries, one that's been clinically shown to restore erections, boost nitric oxide, and reignite testosterone faster than many pills. And it's not rare, it's just underused. Stay with me. We've spent the last few chapters uncovering the hidden threats, fruits that appear innocent, but, for men over 60, can quietly dismantle the very systems that keep you feeling alive, sharp, and confident. But now, we shift. Because it's not just about what you remove, it's about what you rebuild. And we begin with the most overlooked powerhouse in the fruit world. One that doesn't just support your health, it reignites it. Pomegranate. Rich, bold, and bursting with deep red seeds that are far more than decoration. Pomegranate is a fruit of function specifically for men looking to restore their blood flow, rebuild their testosterone, and reclaim the kind of intimacy that aging seems determined to steal. Let's start with the basics. Inside those ruby seeds are compounds called polycalogens. They're polyphenols, plant chemicals that have been clinically shown to reduce oxidative stress, lower inflammation, and increase nitric oxide production. Now, if you're a man over 60, nitric oxide is more than just science, it's survival, because erections don't happen without it. Nitric oxide is the molecule that tells your blood vessels to relax, open up, and allow rich, oxygenated blood to reach where it needs to go. Without enough of it, even the most eager mind and willing partner can't make up for what the body can't deliver. But here's where pomegranate shines. It doesn't just preserve nitric oxide, it amplifies it. In clinical trials, men who consumed pomegranate juice daily experienced significant improvements in erectile function and a measurable rise in salivary testosterone levels, all within a matter of weeks. These aren't vague claims. This is peer-reviewed research meeting lived experience. I'll never forget Daniel, a 74-year-old jazz musician who came into my clinic wearing sunglasses and a sheepish smile. "Doc," he said, "I can play every note but one, and it's the one that counts." He was sharp, stylish, still full of humor, but under it all, he was afraid he'd lost the part of himself that could connect physically. We started small. Half a cup of fresh pomegranate seeds each morning. Nothing else changed, no pills, no drastic routines. 3 weeks in, he returned and said, "I don't know what's in those seeds, but I'm back in tune." He smiled wider. His wife waited in the lobby with flowers. It wasn't a miracle. It was what happens when you give your blood vessels what they need and stop interfering with the very flow of life. Here's how I typically recommend pomegranate. Fresh seeds, ideally organic, added to a smoothie, yogurt, or eaten straight. If you go for juice, make sure it's 100% pure with no added sugar. Most store-bought versions are sugar bombs in disguise. And if you're using juice, keep the serving small. Just a few ounces per day is enough to get the circulatory benefits without overwhelming your system. There's something symbolic about pomegranate too. The seeds take effort to access. They stain your fingers. They require presence. And maybe that's part of the message. They ask you to slow down, to choose deliberately, to remember that your health isn't lost. It's just waiting for your attention. Because your body still knows what to do. Your vessels still remember how to open. Your testosterone still stirs beneath the surface, waiting for the right support. Pomegranate isn't a pill. It's not instant, but it's powerful. Especially for a man who's willing to trade quick fixes for lasting results. In the next part, we'll continue building your hormonal shield. And the next fruit may surprise you because while it's small and fuzzy, it holds the key to reducing stress, improving nutrient absorption, and giving your testosterone the space it needs to rise again. Spoiler, it's not just for garnish anymore. Now that we've unlocked the king of blood flow, let's talk about a fruit that doesn't shout for your attention. It sits quietly in the grocery aisle, fuzzy, unassuming, often passed over for the flashier berries or the sweeter citrus. But don't let its size or softness fool you. Kiwi is one of the most underrated hormonal allies for men over 60. Think of kiwi as the quiet bodyguard of your testosterone, the citrus that doesn't just sit there, but works behind the scenes to protect, stabilize, and restore what age and stress have tried to take. First, let's look at what makes kiwi unique. Vitamin C. Yes, many fruits contain it, but kiwi is absolutely packed with it, often delivering more than an orange in a single serving. And that matters, because vitamin C is essential for protecting Leydig cells, the testosterone-producing factories inside your testes. As we age, those cells are under constant attack from oxidative stress. Pollution, poor sleep, sugar, even chronic low-level inflammation chip away at their ability to function. But when you supply your body with antioxidants, especially the kind in kiwi, you give those cells a fighting chance to keep doing what they were built to do. But kiwi doesn't stop there. It contains an enzyme called actinidin, which helps your body break down proteins and absorb nutrients more efficiently. This is no small thing, because as you get older, your digestive fire weakens. You might be eating the right foods, but if you're not absorbing zinc, magnesium, and B vitamins properly, your testosterone still suffers. Kiwi steps in to help. You absorb what you're already trying to give your body, and that means more building blocks for strength, stamina, and sexual performance. There's also something remarkable about kiwi's effect on cortisol. You've heard of cortisol. It's the stress hormone, the biochemical equivalent of a fire alarm. And when it's elevated for too long, it suppresses testosterone, dulls your drive, and slows your recovery from everything from workouts to arguments. In one study, men who ate 2 kiwis a day for several weeks experienced lower blood pressure, better sleep quality, and improved emotional well-being. Let that sink in. A fruit reduced their stress hormone, improved their rest, and restored their mood. That's not fluff, that's foundational. I worked with a client, Earl, 69 years old, a retired contractor who couldn't figure out why he always felt tense, even when life was calm. He wasn't depressed. He wasn't anxious. He was just stuck in high alert mode all the time. We added 2 kiwis to his afternoon routine, just 2. Within 10 days, he called me and said, "Doc, I slept through the night and actually woke up smiling." It wasn't about the kiwis, per se. It was about what they allowed his body to stop doing. They quieted the noise. They softened the stress. They made room for his testosterone to come back online. I often recommend eating the skin, too washed of course. It's rich in fiber, polyphenols, and more vitamin C. But if that's a stretch for you, no problem. The green flesh alone is enough to make a difference. What I love most about kiwi is its accessibility. It's not exotic. It's not expensive. It doesn't require a blender, a juicer, or a supplement stack. Just a spoon and a little intention. And in return, better sleep, calmer nerves, a stronger hormonal baseline. That's what this journey is about, not dramatic changes, but quiet shifts that compound over time. Because when you're over 60, you don't need another pill. You need peace. You need strength. You need nourishment that works with your body, not against it. And kiwi, in its humble little package, delivers exactly that. In the next part, we move from the quiet to the bold. A fruit that doesn't tiptoe, but charges in one that directly fuels the very molecule responsible for erections and energy, and does so with a sweetness that makes the shift feel effortless. You've eaten it in the summer, but you may never have realized it could act like nature's version of the blue pill. Watermelon is next, and trust me, you'll never look at it the same way again. We've talked about the subtle protectors, the quiet warriors like kiwi and pomegranate that guard your testosterone and ease the strain on your blood vessels. But now it's time to shift to something bolder, more direct, and instantly recognizable. A fruit that's been sitting in your summer picnics, sweetening your barbecues, and quenching your thirst, but that few men realize is one of nature's most potent sexual health enhancers, watermelon. It's not just hydrating. It's not just nostalgic. It's medicinal for your masculinity. Because inside every slice of watermelon is a powerful compound called L-citrulline. It sounds like something you'd find in a lab, but it's pure and organic, and it's a game changer for blood flow. Here's how it works. Once you eat L-citrulline, your body converts it into L-arginine, which then becomes nitric oxide, the master molecule of circulation and the very foundation of strong, lasting erections. When nitric oxide increases, your blood vessels dilate. Your circulation improves. And suddenly, energy, oxygen, and blood are flowing again, where they need to, when they need to. It's the same mechanism behind many pharmaceutical medications. But without the synthetic load, the side effects, or the cardiovascular risk. That's what makes watermelon different. It works with your system, not by forcing it, but by supporting it. I had a client, Terrence, 75, widowed for years, but recently engaged to a woman he never thought he'd have the courage to pursue. He came to me with a quiet sense of hope, but a deep well of self-doubt. "Doc, I want to be ready if things go that way." We didn't go straight to prescriptions. We started with watermelon. A daily portion, 2 generous slices, eaten fresh and on an empty stomach. I told him to eat down to the rind, because the white part, that's where the highest concentration of L-citrulline lives. We even blended it into smoothies with a pinch of ginger and lemon to amplify the effects. Within 2 weeks, he called me, voice full of laughter. "I feel 20 years younger," he said. And let's just say I'm ready. Watermelon is also naturally low in fat and sodium, which helps keep blood pressure in check, another key ingredient in sustainable male performance. But here's something most men miss. It's not just what watermelon adds, it's what it replaces. If you've been reaching for sugary snacks, soda, or high-sodium treats, replacing them with watermelon resets your internal chemistry. It hydrates, stabilizes blood sugar, and supports the very arteries responsible for your energy and endurance. And no, watermelon juice from the store won't cut it. Most of it is loaded with added sugars and lacks the full spectrum of nutrients. You want the real thing, juicy, red, fresh, and if you're blending it, keep the rind. That pale green layer under the surface is where the magic lives. Some men even use watermelon rinds in soups or stir-fries. It's edible and surprisingly versatile. This is what I love about food. It's not just about calories or cravings. It's about communication. Every bite tells your body something. And watermelon says, let the blood flow. Let the system open. Let vitality return. It's sweet, it's simple, and it's shockingly effective, especially when used consistently. One fruit, one habit, one daily ritual that reminds your body what it's capable of. That's the story of watermelon, not just refreshment, but reawakening. In the next part, we'll introduce the smallest fruit on this list, but arguably the most powerful. A tiny blue sphere that holds the key to protecting your testosterone. From oxidative stress, shielding your memory, and sharpening your clarity. It's not hype, it's a hormone shield. And it's probably already in your fridge. By now, you've seen the arc how certain fruits deplete your vitality while others restore it. You've learned how pomegranate opens your vessels, kiwi shields your hormones, and watermelon supercharges your blood flow. But now we reach a fruit that doesn't just support, it defends. Not with flash, but with focus. Not with volume, but with precision. Blueberries. Tiny, dark, and often forgotten at the back of the fridge. These little spheres hold one of the most powerful combinations of antioxidants available to men. And for aging men in particular, those navigating declining testosterone, mental fog, and creeping inflammation, blueberries are less of fruit and more of frontline defense. Why? Because they are rich in anthocyanins, plant compounds that neutralize oxidative stress like a fire extinguisher on hormonal sabotage. Oxidative stress is the invisible thief of masculinity. It eats away at the cells that produce testosterone. It frays the lining of your blood vessels. It slows nerve conduction and desensitizes you to touch, pleasure, and focus. But when you feed your body blueberries, you equip it to fight back. I had a patient, Leonard, age 78, retired pilot. A man used to speed, precision, clarity. But lately, he said, he felt like he was flying through fog. His reflexes were duller, his memory slower, and his desire fainter. Not gone, just distant. We added half a cup of fresh blueberries to his morning routine. Nothing else changed. No pills, no big shifts. Just blueberries every day. Blended into Greek yogurt, sprinkled over oatmeal, or eaten straight. Within a month, he came back and said, "It's like someone cleaned the windshield." His focus had returned. His mornings felt sharper. And more importantly, he felt present again with his wife, his family, and himself. That's the gift of blueberries. They don't scream. They don't spike. They stabilize. Blueberries also help regulate blood sugar, which is essential for hormonal stability. When your insulin is balanced, your testosterone isn't constantly under assault. And when your blood sugar stays steady, your mood and energy stay consistent. No afternoon crashes, no erratic fatigue, no sudden flatness in your conversations or relationships. And unlike many fruits that flirt with high sugar content, blueberries are low glycemic. They deliver sweetness without the storm. They're also high in fiber, which supports gut health, and your gut, by the way, is now considered your second brain. It houses the majority of your immune cells and plays a key role in inflammation regulation and hormone conversion. That's right, what happens in your gut can affect how much testosterone you produce and how effectively you use it. Blueberries help calm that system, clean it, protect it. I tell my patients, don't look at these as snack food. Look at them as medicine disguised as berries. Frozen or fresh, they work. Just make sure there are no added sugars or preservatives. And if you want to amplify the benefits, combine them with a spoonful of almond butter or a few walnuts. That blend of antioxidants and healthy fats becomes a slow-burning powerhouse for your morning. There's something poetic about blueberries. 2. Small enough to be overlooked. Quiet enough to be underestimated. But strong enough to restore memory, protect your testosterone, and reconnect you to who you were before the decline started creeping in. This is how you reclaim yourself, not through radical change, but through small, intentional repetitions. The daily bowl, the slow chew. The understanding that the most powerful shifts don't always come from dramatic moves. Sometimes they come from the smallest fruit. In the final part, we'll bring all of this together. Because now that you know what to remove and what to restore, the next step is execution, how to structure your day, how to stack these foods, and how to rebuild your strength, one choice at a time. If you've come this far, you already know. It's possible. The next part will show you exactly how to live it. You've made it this far, not just through a list of fruits, but through a deeper truth that most men never hear. That food isn't just fuel, it's instruction. That every bite, every meal, is a message to your hormones, your vessels, your mind, And now that you know which fruits quietly erode your strength and which ones reignite it, it's time to bring it all together. Not as theory, but as a plan. A rhythm. A way of eating that doesn't just prevent decline, it begins to reverse it. You don't need a total overhaul. You need consistency. You need small, strategic shifts repeated with discipline and purpose. So here's how you start reclaiming your vitality one day at a time. Let's begin with breakfast. Most men start their day in one of two ways, either skipping breakfast entirely or grabbing something quick and sugary. Neither of these serve you. Instead, your goal is to nourish testosterone, stabilize insulin, and prime your blood flow. That starts with a bowl of Greek yogurt, plain and unsweetened. Top it with half a cup of fresh blueberries. Add a sprinkle of walnuts or flax seeds. If you want to sweeten it slightly, add cinnamon, not sugar. This breakfast protects your hormones, calms inflammation, and keeps your mind clear until lunch. Or go savory. 2 eggs, lightly sautéed with kale or spinach. On the side, a handful of pomegranate seeds or a small glass of unsweetened pomegranate juice. This combo gives you nitric oxide, antioxidants, and blood flow support all before 9 a.m. Now for lunch. This is your chance to stack testosterone-supporting nutrients and cut the hidden sugars that derail so many men midday. Build a salad with leafy greens like arugula or romaine. Add grilled chicken or salmon for protein. Toss in sliced kiwi, cherry tomatoes, and a few pumpkin seeds. Drizzle with olive oil and lemon. This plate isn't just lunch, it's testosterone, maintenance, blood vessel healing, and metabolic regulation in one meal. And don't forget watermelon. Have a few slices, especially if you're feeling low energy in the afternoon. Better yet, blend it with lemon and ginger for a nitric oxide boost that wakes up your body naturally. For snacks, avoid the vending machine. Reach for a hard-boiled egg, a handful of almonds, or a small bowl of Greek yogurt with kiwi slices. These snacks don't spike your insulin. They protect it. And they fuel stable energy instead of crashes. Now dinner. This is when most men get lazy pizza, frozen meals, processed carbs. But this is also the window where your body prepares for hormone recovery and sleep. You need to eat like you respect tomorrow. Go simple. Grilled salmon or lean beef, roasted vegetables, and steamed broccoli or Brussels sprouts. Add a side of quinoa or sweet potato for slow-burning fuel. And if you want something sweet, a few strawberries, or half a kiwi. Or if you've had a clean day, half a banana, earlier in the evening, paired with protein to slow the sugar spike. Just remember, timing matters. And so does sleep. Because testosterone rises at night, not when you're snacking, scrolling, or stressed, but when you've given your body the space to repair. This is why eliminating dried fruits before bed is so critical. They don't help, they spike. They disrupt. Replace them with protein and fat like a spoonful of almond butter or a small handful of pumpkin seeds. Then close the kitchen. Let your body do the rest. Over time, these small changes create massive shifts. You'll wake up clearer. Your blood vessels will respond faster. Your confidence will return not in one moment, but in waves like strength remembering itself. I've seen men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s come back to life with these foods. Not because they were perfect, but because they were consistent, because they chose to stop guessing and start eating with purpose. And now, so can you. To recap, here's your core strategy. Remove or reduce non-organic grapes, Canned fruit cocktails, daily bananas, dried fruits like dates and raisins. Replace with pomegranate seeds or juice, kiwi, with skin if possible, fresh watermelon, including the rind, blueberries daily. Build meals that stabilize blood sugar and feed testosterone. Avoid hidden sugars and preservatives, especially at night. Sleep like your hormones depend on it, because they do. You are not past your prime. You are not broken. You are not too old to feel clear, strong, and sexually alive again. Your body still knows how to respond. You just have to give it the right signals. And now you know exactly where to begin. So go to your kitchen, open your fridge. Make one change. Today, just one. Because it's not about being perfect. It's about moving in the right direction. And that starts with your next bite.